So we're going to look at some integument. Okay. So you've seen this image before, right? I took these pictures. These are my pictures. Pasted them into my lecture. So that's a fingerprint. So we have keratinized stratified squamous epithelium here. Okay. And this is a fingerprint or indentation. What else do we have? The dermis from here to here. From here to about right about here is the dermis. So you have the papillary layer and the reticular layer. The papillary layer is made of areolar connective tissue. The reticular layer is made of dense irregular connective tissue. And then when you get down into the dermis, guess what you see? You're part of. I mean, when you get down into the adipose, you're in the hypodermis. That's what I meant to say. Here's some Pacinian corpuscles and other things that we'll be talking about later. Here is, okay. So here's the layers labeled for you now. Okay. And here is a high magnification of the same thing. So here's your stratum basalis, spinosum, granulosum, lucidium, and corneal layer. Okay. And then the papillary layer of the skin. And here is a Meissner's corpuscle, free nerve ending, an encapsulated free nerve ending. Here's another piece of one. We've already talked about these already. Here's some Pacinian corpuscles, reticular and papillary layers. So from about here to here is the papillary layer. From here to here, or the rest of it is a reticular layer. So dense irregular connective tissue and areolar connective tissue. And here's where you can really tell the difference in this magnification. Here's areolar connective tissue, dense irregular connective tissue, okay, of the papillary and reticular regions, respectively. So here are some ducts, equine sweat ducts. Here is a small artery with red blood cells in it. This looks like a Pacinian corpuscle, and these are cross sections of a nerve. And here's some adipose down here. More Pacinian corpuscles, and again, we'll talk about what those are later, and some nerve bundles right here, and we'll look at nervous tissue later. Here's the hair follicle, okay? The hair root, the papillary layer, okay? The matrix, okay? And here is some hair follicles that are opening into, I think this might be on somebody's head or somebody's face. Here's sebaceous glands. Here is an erecti pili muscle. This is dense, irregular connective tissue. Here's more of the same. Again, this is my picture. Here's the hypodermis now, where the fat begins. Another erecti pili muscle and higher mag. We've seen this image before. So here's a brown guy and a white guy. Okay? You can see the melanin in the brown guy compared to the white guy. Okay, and look, the hair follicles go all the way into the hypodermis where the fat is. They don't stop in the dermis like these erroneous images that they show in A and B textbooks and even the models in our lab. It's not true, and there's the proof. Okay?
Can I ask a question? That hair follicle on the far left looks like it's going all the way through to the surface, correct?
The far left, this one?
Yeah. And the next one next to it doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Well, it's because of the way it's cut.
Oh, okay.
These are really, really thin sections. So you're only cutting thin pieces of all the follicles. So you might just catch the edge of the follicle that's in the dermis. And you might even just catch an edge of the follicle that's just in the epidermis and not in the dermis because it's going on an angle. So if you cut the tissue on a slice, then you're not going to get it all. Okay? You have to use your imagination and you have to think three-dimensionally when you're looking at two-dimensional images. Okay?
I was wondering, what happens with an ingrown hair though?
Ingrown hair, it doesn't grow all the way out. It gets stuck inside like curls and spins when it's growing.
Okay.
You know, like in a curl, and then it just gets inflamed and, you know, you pop it like a pimple if you have to. Okay? So here are the sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands are in the dermis, but the root is in the hypodermis. Okay? And here's your nail. Okay? Here's your hair root right here. Okay? Here's your hypomecium. That's underneath your nail, and your epimecium will be where your cuticle is. epinecium and cuticle are used interchangeably. And that's it, okay?